Alright guys, welcome back to Max Boneyard Builds. So, got a little bit of time on my hands. I already got my hands dirty, by the way. Been underneath the truck, been tidying up a few things, got the transmission plugs plugged in, got the neutral safety switch and the reverse lights and everything plugged in from the OBS harness, got everything, all that tidied up I believe. And now we are going to jump on fuel lines. If you have one of these, 96, 97, 98, the Vortec motors, not the TBI motors. If you have a Vortec motor, it's got the EP381 fuel pump in it. That'll give you plenty. I think it goes all the way up to 85, 90 PSI, something like that. More than enough to work on these LS motors. So you no need to drop the tank. It's already fuel injected. It's got the baffles in it. All that fun stuff. If you've got pre 95 and below in the OBS, you're going to have to swap out the fuel pump. The TBI, the throttle body, they do not have enough fuel pressure. So make sure to switch out those pumps because you got to have EP381, 96 or above. You got to make sure that's in there. So we're going to jump underneath the truck. We're going to take a look at what we're going to do. Set you up on a little time lapse or something. Let's get this fuel line hooked up. Alright guys, so doing my best to sneak underneath the truck here, let you guys see what's going on. Here is your feed line with the fuel filter, okay? We're going to snip off this line here, and we are going to gone. But the fitting here, we're going to switch over to an AN fitting. If you look this way, this is your return line going back towards the tank. We're going to snip off this fitting here, switch it to AN, and then we're going to snip this one, gone, which is going to get rid of those guys that are hanging down right here. They're going to be gone. And we're going to run AN lines from here. Sorry about the shadow. We're going to run AN lines from here and here on these hard lines. We're going to run them up to the motor bay and then stick them on the back of the motor, and hopefully this goes easier said than done, but it shouldn't be too hard. So I'm going to get these snipped off. I'll let you take a look at what's left. Alright guys, so we got the old fuel lines off here, which ran up this direction, okay? Oh, trying to get them in the frame. So those ran up this way, and what that did was, this is still the return line here, and then this is the feed line from the filter. So what we are going to do now is we're going to grab these ICT adapters, okay? So this one here, as you see, is a female. Hopefully you can see that. That's a female, and this one's going to slip on this side for the return. And this one is a male. So this male is going to slip inside of this fuel filter, okay? So that's going to take us to 6 AN from the return and the feed. We're going to be able to shoot them forward up towards the engine bay. We'll run our AN lines. We will get them set up on the motor side, and we will be ready to roll. Don't forget, on these fuel lines, you may have to get a pick or something. Usually just get them with your fingers. There's little O-rings on top of these, okay? Make sure, don't double up your O-rings. Make sure you get the whole thing off too. The last thing you want to do is double up them O-rings, and then it's not going to seal properly. You see that one's, man, that one's roached. That one is flat. So let's get the new one out. Note to self, guys, if you do things on the ground like me, open up your bags before you get down here. That was a very poor decision on my part. Very poor decision. There we go. So, you got your new O-ring. Slip that over top. Return line, that's what we're working on right now. Make sure that's seated. I'm just going to snug these up by hand right now. Come back with a wrench, grab them in a minute. Just make sure it's squared up nice and even. Bam, 6 AN, baby, just like that. You grab the other one. Again, I did not open my bag before I got down here. Get your fitting. Don't forget your O-ring. Now this time the O-ring is going to go on the fitting. Oh, it's trying to curl up on me here. There we go. Get that O-ring seated down all the way. You know, now would be a good time to change out your fuel filter. But, you know, this is Boneyard Builds. I'll do that like on a maintenance episode or something. You know, why would I do that while I'm actually working on it, you know? But I'm gonna grab some wrenches. But anyways, that'll tighten up. And there you go. Now you got 6 AN shooting towards your motor for your LS Swap. Okay, guys. So now what we're going to do is we are going to jump into the motor side. As you can see, we've got these quick connects. Okay. Real super easy. All you do is you get your fuel line. You heard the snap? Literally that easy. You just take these quick connects, make sure it's centered on there, it bites on, give it the pull test, try and pull it back off, bam. So now we got AN on the fuel lines up here. Sorry if you can't see, guys. So now you got AN up here on the fuel lines. Yep, yeah, you can see. Here, give them the pull test. Make sure they're good to go. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get some fittings. We're going to snip those onto the AN line itself. Do them one at a time. Take your time. You don't want to get these suckers backwards, and you're really going to have an issue. So we're just going to go ahead and run the feed, we're going to bring it down here with the rest of these, like these cables here that'll help hold it up and everything, make sure it doesn't fall down on the exhaust. Bring it back down and run it back down to that fuel filter. Now'd be a good time, guys, to grab yourself a couple fittings. You see here we got a 45 and here we got a 90. Snip them on there just lightly with your fingers to see where you want your fuel line to route. Like you see that 90, that's going to be way too tight. That's going to be too tight. So I'm not going to like that. Get your 45. Thread that on there lightly, just to see where it's going to lie. You can see that 45 is going to run right exactly where I want them, heading down towards that brake booster. So I'm going to run them underneath the brake booster as close as I can. Make sure to keep it away from the exhaust. So the 45 is what we want to work with. Alright guys, so now we've got this 45. We're going to open this 45 up like so. What I like to do is just take your finger, you ain't got to get crazy with it, makes life just a little easier. You can even dab it off, and you're just going to get, just lightly coat that AN fitting, just a little bit of motor oil or something. This is going to make your life so much easier here in a minute. Then we're going to get our AN line. This is the factory cut. Make sure it's nice and clean all the way around. Inside of this red part that we took off of here, the large end is going to go over top of the line. It's got threads, so just start threading it by hand. Sometimes it takes a minute for it to start grabbing, but it will. Or at least it should. Maybe. Yeah, let's see if I can clean that up a little bit. I think it was just a little too frayed out. So yeah, it's not going down. It's not wanting to grab it. So let's get us a nice clean cut on there. So what you do to get a really good clean cut on this AN line is you wrap that AN line 1 or 2 rounds of electric tape, stick it in a vise, and you make a little noise, and you're going to zip off that bad part with an angle grinder. Sounds crazy, I know, but that angle grinder actually kind of melts everything down, makes a nice clean cut. You can see there's just a couple little guys right there. Find the end of my tape. There we go. Now this should thread on there better. There you go. So now we've got the hose almost to the top. Yep, there we go. See, it's almost to the top. There it is. Of that fitting. Hopefully you can see that. Down inside there. And now what this is going to do, this is going to go inside there. But to make sure your fittings look good, you can do one of two things. You can buy the wrenches that are made for these AN fittings, which if you're going to do a bunch of them, go for it. Me, cheap, put a little electric tape on there just for a little insurance, so that way whenever you get it in your vise and stuff, it's not, just snug it down, it's not going to be damaging the finish on these AN pieces. Now that little bit of oil you put on there, it's going to help get that inside that AN fitting. And you'll feel it start to grab. Now, my wrench, again, a little bit of electric tape on there. So what that does is it protects that finish on these AN fittings, because it doesn't take a lot to scratch these things up. Make sure everything stays straight. Slowly start cranking it in. And the electric tape on the fitting and the electric tape on the wrench is making sure nothing gets scratched up. And you just keep on cruising until it bottoms out. Like that. Ooh. That falls down there. Find the end of your tape. That comes off. Nothing scratched up. Everything looks good. Always give it a pull test. And I'm saying pull like your life depends on it. If it don't come off, 60 pounds of pressure, fuel pressure, isn't going to pop it off either. Now, we got one AN line ready to roll. We'll stick it on there, measure out what we want, cut it, do it all over again, do it all over again, do it all over again, till you got 4 fittings on there, and your fuel lines are done. Alright guys, so there it is. There are your AN fuel lines. We got them attached to the rail. They get tucked back nice and tight against the body. I got them trapped in between the evap line and a few things. I'm going to run a zip tie in a few inconspicuous places. So that's going to tie that in there. And then on the bottom side, sorry. That's what it looks like on the bottom side. You got your ICT adapter into your filter, onto your SIN line. You got your ICT adapter on your return line, and they get tucked up against the body, against the brake lines and a few things. I'm going to run a few zip ties through there. Make sure that's nice and tight. Make sure it doesn't come loose. I'm going to check for leaks in that, but man, everything fit together perfect. Everything's nice and tight. I don't think we're going to have any problems at all. And I even have about, I don't know, 10 inches of line left. No idea what I'm going to do with that, but I've got about 10 inches of line left. So there you go guys. LS Swap, 6 AN fuel lines. Took me about, I don't know, 40 minutes total, maybe an hour, I don't know. And that was obviously moving the camera around and doing things a little slower. I had one fitting at the very end. Holy cow. I just could not get those threads started. I don't know if the time lapse will pick it up or not. I ended up grabbing a drill and a socket on that red fitting because I just couldn't get the thread started. Because I couldn't, as soon as I'd spin it and I'd go to readjust my hands, I'd try and back off. Put that drill on there, went real slow with it, sucked it right on there. Man, I appreciate you guys stopping by, as always. Got to button up some exhaust. I've got to do fluids and everything there. I'm going to flush the rad and the cooling system real good with tons of water. Everything's all flushed out of everything. Then top all of that off, fill the transmission up, check the oil level, a few other random things. We're going to see if this baby fires up, because we're about at that point. I just want to thank you guys a lot. I checked on the old YouTube app the other day. Something like 10,000 hours and like almost 300,000 views or something total collectively. Like, that is unbelievable. Those are staggering numbers for me. I appreciate each and every one of you. I appreciate you for sticking with me, coming by the shop, checking out all the random little weird projects I got going on all the time. If you guys got any questions, hit me up. I'll try and answer them. If you just stumbled upon the channel, hit that subscribe button. It's down there somewhere. And I'm glad to hear from you. And I will see you guys next time on Max Boneyard Builds.